Welcome back to Talking to Myself. If you're new to this podcast, I'm Carol L. Paur, author of the YA suspense Early Summer and the middle grade fantasy Is a Snorer Snores. Last month we talked about why genre matters. If you're new to writing, especially books, it's important to know the specific genre you hope to write your books or books in. Some people wonder if they have to stay in the same genre to be successful. And the answer is no, for the most part, right? You can write mysteries for adults. You can write mysteries for young people. John Grisham does that. You can write picture books. You can write television shows. I guess if you're writing a series, your publisher is going to want you to stay in that genre, right? So if you're doing a cozy mystery for adults and it takes place in a pizza parlor, you're going to want to, if you have 10 books in that series, you're going to want to stay in that kind of cozy mystery for adults genre. Does that make sense? Some authors stick with one genre because they love it or they're very successful at it. For me, I love telling stories using different genres. Early Summer is a young adult mystery, and Is a Snorer Snores is a middle grade fantasy. Each genre has a specific skill set, and it's important to learn them. So even though I'm writing books doesn't mean I'm very skilled at writing picture books. Or just because you've written an adult novel or cozy mystery does not mean you're ready to write a television show, right? It's not impossible. There are people who transition quite easily from one genre to the next. But for the most part, you need some training and learn how each genre works. I cover this in more detail in this month's blog, where I talk about writer's block. Do you struggle with writer's block? Check out my blog to see what I have to say about it. Maybe you'll find it helpful. In the meantime, I have a very special guest, LeAnna Shields, author of the Mystic Ranch Cozy Mystery Series. Hi, LeAnna. Thank you for being on Talking to Myself. I'd like to know what inspired your Mystic Ranch Cozy Mystery Series.
That's actually a great question. I was inspired for the Mystic Ranch Mysteries by a thing I found on Pinterest that asked the question, what if magic wasn't confined to the times of knights and ladies? It talked about coffee shops with special abilities to give you charm or charisma, and all of a sudden the story for Mystic Ranch Mysteries started.
How long have you been writing books, and when did you start getting interested in writing?
Been writing for maybe 12-15 years, though it feels a lot longer. When I first started getting interested in writing, I was probably in high school. Actually, maybe farther back than that. I was always creating characters when I was in grade school.
Are you a one-genre writer? Do you only write cozy mysteries?
Well, my primary focus is on cozy mysteries. I started out writing science fiction, fantasy, and then I went to steampunk and then 1920s steampunk cozies. So I don't write in just one genre.
So, just to let you know, LeAnna had me on her podcast. So, LeAnna, how long have you had your podcast?
I started my show, The Cozy Sleuth, 4 years ago in 2019, and it's still hard to believe that I started it that long ago.
Tell me why you started a cozy mystery podcast.
I started doing The Cozy Sleuth because I love cozy mysteries. I wanted a way to highlight some of the favorite ones that I've read and I wanted to give my opinions on the cozy mystery genre. It soon grew beyond what I expected to being a platform for cozy mystery authors to introduce themselves and their works to my listeners.
Since this podcast is geared toward writing and authors, and you're a successful author with books out there, what advice would you give to any aspiring or nervous writers?
The best advice I can give anyone who wants to write is to just do it. Writing can always be a scary proposition, but just remember those first few things are you telling yourself a story. It has to be something you enjoy and are passionate about.
So I think people love giving advice, especially to writers. LeAnna, have you ever received bad advice?
You're trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? Yes, I have gotten some bad advice before when it comes to writing. There's a friend out there who keeps insisting that I ignore chapter books and focus instead on children's fiction. I'm not really passionate about that. But if you want to check those out, they're under the name Anna Lee. They're called Curly, Pugsley, and the Time Trunk, or Curly and Pugsley's Christmas Adventure. Either one you can find.
That is hysterical. So you took bad advice and you still wrote books. I think that's a great lesson. LeAnna, where might they find your books?
All my books can be found on Amazon. Either search for the name LeAnna Shields or Anna Lee.
LeAnna is also social, and you can find her on Facebook at LeAnna's1. She's also on Twitter. Look for The Cozy Sleuth. And she's also on BookBub, so check that out. That was LeAnna Shields, folks. I hope you enjoyed our talk. Next month, we'll be chatting with Michelle Reginald. She is a book coach. Her website says, if athletes have coaches, why not professional writers? I met Michelle, and let me tell you, she really puts her heart into her work. She and I will be chatting about how to schedule in writing time. I'm excited for the podcast. In April, I hope to be joined by an agent from a literary agency in New York City. She is a native of Wisconsin. You'll have to wait until the show airs to learn who this secret agent is. The idea of pitching to an agent terrifies me. Does it terrify you? Even as I was preparing to email her to ask her to be on the podcast, my heart rate went up. My Garmin watch actually started beeping or whatever, and it told me to calm down. I hope this interview will calm my anxiety and maybe yours. I think agencies and agents and the whole literary agent thing just seems very mysterious and to me very scary. On March 4th, I am sneaking into a craft fair at the Wagon Wheel in Delavan. They don't have any more tables inside, but they told me if the weather is great, I might be able to have a table outside. Worst case scenario, I'll be selling Early Summer and Is a Snore Snores outside my truck. Do you know Stephen King used to sell his books out of his vehicle? All right, on April 1st, and no, this is not an April Fool's joke, I'll be at a book fair at Bishop Hills, Illinois. I hope to see you there. May I ask a favor? If you read Early Summer or Is a Snore Snores and you like them, could you please write a great review on Amazon and or Goodreads? The truth is, reviews help generate more interest in the books and it helps move them up in the whole Amazon algorithm thing. Maybe I'll need to have a show on that, right? It's just like a restaurant. There might be a brand new restaurant in the area and people are a little afraid to try it, but you went there and you loved it. You try to get the word out and say, hey, this was a great restaurant. That's how you help, especially more local businesses and smaller authors. That's how we can be stronger and help each other. I'm really excited about this next thing I'm going to tell you about. Save the date. Our Delavan Darien Rotary Club will be hosting our Artisan Festival on Saturday, September 23rd. I think the time will be like from 10 to 2, but we haven't narrowed down the time. Last year's Artisan Festival really turned out great. We had food trucks, we had authors, we had artisans, pottery, jewelry. We just had a mixture of people selling their wares. We also had a drum circle performer. We had singers. We also had a bouncy house, balloon art, and face painting. Who doesn't love all that? So have a great rest of your February. Email me if you have any questions or show ideas you think we need to cover. Please check out my blog and other social media feeds. Another way to help me is to share this video. Thank you for listening. Cheers.